From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now at 4:30, ballots have been cast and the votes are still being tallied. We have the latest results on the race for the president and local elections. And a record number of mail-in ballots adding a new challenge for the Marion County Clerk's Office. Their progress as they continue to count this morning. But first, here at 4:30, it is the day after the election. Thanks for waking up early with us, or maybe staying up really late with us, Todd. It has been a busy night, but quiet in the weather department.
Yeah, you know, it's a beautiful election day weather-wise here across central Indiana and really across much of the country. There wasn't any weather-related issues, and we're carrying that nice weather over into today. In fact, today probably going to be even a couple degrees warmer, so if you like the weather on your Tuesday, I think you're going to like it even a little bit more here heading into the afternoon hours today. We're starting off a little bit warmer. Yesterday we were in the 30s and 40s. This morning 40s and 50s across the area. So as you walk out, you just really need a light jacket. That's all. 52 in Lafayette right now, 49 in Indy. 53 is the current temperature in Muncie. You see the skies are completely clear no matter where you are. We'll expand out, and you notice a few clouds here off to our west. That's kind of a player in the forecast for tomorrow. Today, though, from start to finish, nothing but sunshine. The temperatures moderate very quickly. It's a wonderful Wednesday for us. In fact, we should be into the low 60s already by the noon hour with high temperatures today, Lauren. That'll be approaching 70 degrees.
All right, we like that, Todd. Thank you so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. We had some scheduled intermittent closures in the southbound lanes of I-465 up on the northwest side here, sort of in the dogleg area, and this is a live look near 71st Street where everything is traveling up to speed. Looks like, according to Twitter, NDOT saying that they wrap this up in the overnight hours, so everything should be open for the rest of the morning, but of course we'll continue to keep a close eye on the spot and any other areas that could slow you down this morning. At 4:32, want to get to the latest on the election results. Some votes we know still being counted this morning. A lot of votes still being counted, but so far local races are falling in favor of Republicans and the incumbents. Here's a look at the latest reports on the presidential race. This is ABC's live map tracking the results. Democrat Joe Biden currently ahead on this map. There are still a number of states that are yet to be called. Indiana projected in the red, which would give 11 electoral votes to Donald Trump. And here's a closer look at Indiana's presidential results. President Trump winning the state, 59% of the Hoosier votes so far, with 84% of the precincts reporting. Joe Biden securing 39% with just over 1 million total votes. Libertarian candidate Joe Jorgensen receiving 2%. We'll have more on the presidential race coming up in just a moment.
We have so much work to do, and I am flat out eager to continue to get her done.
A big night last night for Governor Eric HOLCOMB as he celebrates his re-election. He won 58% of the vote, fending off Democrat Woody Myers and Libertarian candidate Donald Rainwater, both of whom criticized HOLCOMB's handling of the pandemic. The GOP also winning the Attorney General race. Former U.S. Representative Todd Rokita beating former Evansville Mayor Jonathan Weinzapfel with 60% of the vote. Rokita will take over for current Attorney General Curtis Hill, who lost in the primaries following sexual assault misconduct allegations. Well, he in one of the big races yet to be decided this morning. It's the race for the 5th District congressional seat, still up for grabs at this hour. We can tell you Republican Victoria Spartz winning with 51% of the vote so far. Democrat Christina Hale following with 45% so far. Libertarian candidate Ken Tucker has 4%. The winner will replace Republican Susan Brooks, who is retiring. Incumbents held on to their seats for the rest of central Indiana congressional districts. Republican Jim Baird won re-election so far with 66% of the vote over Joe Mackey for the 4th district. To the east, Republican Greg Pence, Vice President Mike Pence's brother, will continue to represent the 6th district. He won over Democrat Janine Lee Lake and Libertarian Tom Birkenoff with 69% of the vote. And in the 7th district, Democrat Andre Carson won re-election. He secured 60% of the vote, beating Republican challenger Susan Marie Smith. For more results and for a full list with the latest updates right now, just go to WRTV.com and the WRTV mobile app. At 4:34, tallying absentee ballots is still in progress here in Marion County. We know the clerk's office says it will resume counting these votes at 10 o'clock this morning. Hundreds of people worked late into the night going through thousands of ballots. According to the clerk's office, more than 110,000 absentee ballots have already been counted. We talked to some of the workers about why it's important to be a part of the process.
My mother and father instilled in me at a young age the importance of voting. Too many people died, were arrested, and were holes that I might vote. So that's why it is important for us to get out and vote.
Usually I would like to work at my polling place, but because of COVID, I didn't want to do that. And this way I'm only exposed to this one lovely, healthy, young graduate.
Well, again, the votes will continue to be counted this morning. We'll continue to update you with the latest results just as soon as they come in. While the clerk's office says it was mostly smooth for Election Day for voters here in Marion County, that wasn't the case everywhere. Here's a look at the lines up in Madison County. There were several reported problems there. Some voters say they waited almost 5 hours to cast their ballot. According to the county clerk, part of that was because they didn't have enough voting equipment. They purchased 170 new voting machines last year and originally planned to use voting centers instead of the traditional polling places, but that plan was rejected last minute by county commissioners, forcing them to scramble.
We tried to order more equipment because we knew if we weren't getting vote centers, we were not going to have enough machines for the general election. They refused to pay for those also, so we couldn't get more equipment, and we talked with the state, and they said, you know, if you don't get either of those, either vote centers or more equipment, you're going to have some of the longest wait times in the state, and here we are today. And we're having to deal with it, and I'm so sorry to all of the voters that have had to deal with it because that's not fair to them. They didn't do anything to deserve these wait times. It should not have been this long.
Well, in the presidential race, still too early to determine who will win the White House at this point. Both President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden picked up some major wins in the overnight hours. ABC's Faith Abube is watching the race from Washington, and she joins us now with the latest developments.
Overnight, former Vice President Joe Biden in Wilmington, Delaware, energizing a car rally of supporters.
We believe we're on track to win this election.
Biden so far performing as expected as the vote counts roll in across the country.
And it ain't over till every vote is counted. Every ballot is counted. But we're feeling good. We're feeling good about where we are.
The former vice president boosted by wins in traditional Democratic strongholds and the Pacific West Coast, taking California, Oregon, and Washington. And in a surprise outcome, Biden now leading in Arizona.
The state of Florida, his 29 electoral votes will go to Donald Trump.
Trump winning the biggest prize so far, taking all of Florida's 29 electoral votes and performing well in rural areas. But as votes are still being counted, Trump in an early morning speech falsely claiming he won the race.
This is a fraud on the American public. Frankly, we did win this election.
The president also heading to social media and Twitter slapping a warning label on his tweet after he wrote in part, "We're up big, but they're trying to steal the election." Right now, the cliffhanger appears to be in the Rust Belt states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, key battlegrounds that could decide who wins the White House. Wisconsin officials telling ABC News they expect statewide results as early as today. With votes cast and nothing else to help the race, thousands of anxious voters gathering in D.C.'s Black Lives Matter Plaza as the nation waits for final results. So far, it appears young people did not turn out to vote as expected. National exit polls suggesting that 18 to 29-year-olds make up the same percentage of the electorate as they did back in 2016. Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington. All right, well, during the pandemic, more Americans turned to mail-in ballots, but what if using your phone could have been an option? A handful of other countries have used some kind of online voting for years, but the U.S. isn't there yet. Some experts say the option would bring bring up more accessibility issues because not everyone has access to strong broadband or Wi-Fi. It also doesn't allow for a paper trail, which is important after those hacking claims. Voting by phone would also require a lot of investment in securing networks, and it would have to be more secure than online banking. Election officials say we don't have that level of resources yet.
That's what would be required for people to both feel confident that their vote is going to be counted as cast and that it is a confidential vote, both of which are fundamental values in our election system.
Well, Spaulding there says that some voting in Alaska is done online, but the risk there is so small it doesn't translate well to a nationwide scale. Still, she thinks that voting by phone is something that could be a long-term goal. So are you feeling extra stressed because of the election? Coming up, what experts recommend you can do to help with the anxiety. And across the country, more kids are being diagnosed with COVID-19. Still ahead, why health officials say they are seeing a spike in cases. Todd.
And grab the sunglasses and just the light jacket as you walk out the door here this morning. Temperatures are sitting in the 40s and 50s. It's a wonderful Wednesday forecast for us. We'll talk all about it coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
It is 4:43. Some doctors are concerned that this election is causing what's called election stress disorder. Experts say that the political landscape is adding to the anxiety many are already dealing with because of the pandemic. Stress related to elections, it's not unprecedented. One study found 25% of college students experienced PTSD symptoms in 2016. Increased tensions could mean more people are feeling it now.
A certain percentage of those people are going to develop persistent anxiety disorders, PTSD, and so on. And you don't have to necessarily have like a one discrete trauma to develop PTSD. It could be just multiple little micro traumas.
Well, there's several steps doctors suggest to dealing with election stress. As you start your day, be thoughtful about how much political content you consume. Isolation is increasing mental health problems, so talk with friends and take time to exercise. Try and get good sleep tonight and explore treatment options. Former U.S. Representative and Indiana's next Attorney General Todd Rokita has tested positive for COVID-19. His campaign says that he tested positive after developing some symptoms. They say he was exposed to the virus by someone not connected to campaign activities. As a result, Rokita spent his election night celebrating his win at home with his family. He's reportedly doing well and working from home. Here's a look at Indiana's latest COVID-19 numbers. The State Department of Health reporting nearly 3,000 new cases again Tuesday. That brings the state's total number of cases to just over 188,000 since March. 50 more Hoosiers have died with this disease. That's about 20 more deaths than were reported on Monday. Nearly 4,200 deaths have been reported since this pandemic began. Children in the U.S. are contracting COVID at the highest rate yet. That is, last week more than 61,000 were diagnosed. That's the most in 1 week since the pandemic started. The largest increases are happening in western states. While children tend to have few to no symptoms, some areas are reporting children being hospitalized with COVID on a daily basis. At 4:45, a new study says COVID-19 spreads at a much higher rate between people who live in the same house. Scripps reporter Jason Lamb explains.
The new study from Vanderbilt University Medical Center shows how vulnerable family members can be inside a home where someone has contracted the coronavirus.
What we found is COVID spreads very rapidly and very easily through a home.
Just how quickly? The study found half of all family members in a home with someone infected with COVID will also get COVID, usually within just 5 days.
Once it's in your house, it's very hard to keep from spreading. And you don't know who in your house will be susceptible and may need to be hospitalized.
The research adds a new dimension to public health guidelines that largely focus on social distancing outside your home. Guidelines that doctors say work if everyone in the home follows those guidelines outside.
If you, however, or anyone in the family goes outside the bubble and does anything that's risky, large groups, bars, not wearing a mask, they can bring COVID back into that bubble and put everybody in that bubble at risk.
Jason Lamb, News Channel 5.
Jason, thank you. Hurricane Eta continues to batter parts of Central America. A storm making landfall in Nicaragua as a Category 2 hurricane. It pulled roofs off of homes, down trees and power lines. Out in Honduras, streets and buildings were flooded, causing some landslides there. It's expected to continue its path through Honduras and reach Belize by late Thursday. Eta could also threaten South Florida this weekend. Back here at home, conditions pretty quiet, Todd. It was a beautiful election day across Central Indiana.
Yeah, you know, we're carrying that right over here into your Wednesday. And honestly, with the exception of tomorrow, which isn't bad, by the way, and I'll talk about that coming up in just a few minutes, it's an absolutely beautiful stretch of weather that's going all the way through the weekend. So if you don't have the opportunity today to get out and about, just know that there's days ahead. Here's the view from downtown. Off to the west, the American flag, they're extended. There's a little bit of a breeze this morning, but it's nothing terrible. The temperature sits at 49 right now. There's that south wind at 9 miles per hour. Just taking a couple degrees off the temperature. Feels like 45. Visibility unlimited here this morning, and we're going to have these clear skies throughout the entire day today. In fact, you'll be pretty hard pressed to find any cloud cover. 52 in Lafayette currently, a little cooler to the south. Bloomington at 43 degrees, 53 in Muncie, and 48 as you work your way from Tipton up into the Peru area. So with the relatively warmer start, it's going to be a little bit of a warmer finish later on today. And you see temperatures across the area, generally in the 40s and 50s in the surrounding states around Indiana. So here's how it breaks down for you hour by hour throughout the day today. Quickly through the 40s and into the 50s already by 9 a.m. And keep in mind our normal high temperature this year is in this time of year rather is in the upper 50s, and we should be hitting that already by 10 or 11 o'clock this morning. And then we'll continue to warm and getting right up to right around 70 degrees by 3 p.m. and then back into the 60s as we get into the 4 and 5 o'clock hours. So the middle half of the afternoon with the sunshine and the mild air is really going to be pretty pleasant across the area. So get outside and maybe rake some leaves. You don't want to do some work. I'm going to plan on golfing later on this afternoon. Head out and take care of that, and maybe just a walk around the neighborhood. There's some clouds here off to our west. Those will eventually come in here during the day tomorrow. Sunset this evening. If you do have outdoor plans, keep in mind 5:39 here today with skies being partly cloudy this evening. Temperatures still very, very comfortable overnight tonight. We're going only back into the 50s. It's very pleasant throughout the overnight hours. And then for the day tomorrow, temperatures still not bad. We're still going into the mid to upper 60s across the area. The difference is there's more in the way of cloud cover throughout the day tomorrow, so it's not as bright, but we're not expecting any rain. It's going to be a dry day for us. That is the good news. But we are right back into the sunshine on Friday, and then we keep the temperatures in the 70s Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. 74 degrees late Monday and then into Tuesday, Lauren. That's going to be the next chance of any rain here across the area.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads early this Wednesday morning. This is I-65 and I-70 at the south split in the downtown area. You can see everything is moving along up to speed. No major issues to slow you down at this early hour. Gleaners Food Bank is ready for a big expansion. The organization receiving more than $3 million to add to its Indianapolis facility. They plan to expand their refrigerated storage capacity, which would allow them to store more perishable food. The funding is being provided through Indiana's Federal CARES Act money and a grant from the Lilly Endowment. Gleaner says its food distribution has nearly doubled between 2019 and 2020 because of the pandemic. This year so far, they have served over 87 million pounds of food. If you've noticed issues with your Apple AirPods, you could get them replaced for free. Apple says some of its AirPod Pro devices may have sound issues. That includes crackling or static sounds, and the noise cancellation is not working as expected. Apple says the faulty products were manufactured before October 2020. They created a support page for an exchange program, which they say will service both AirPods free of charge. As wildfires rage in California, breweries are doing what they can to help. After the break, the special beers they're crafting for the relief. We'll be right back. Breweries in California are using their craft to help firefighters and victims impacted by the state's ongoing wildfires. 100% of the proceeds from their fire brigade Pilsner goes to fire relief. They describe it as an easy drinking yet crafty beer. That brew will help specifically the volunteer fire departments.
The least we can do is kind of give back and try to help those. And again, the reason is because it is so hard, it is so bad out there, you got to do something, bring a little hope.
A total of 9 breweries are participating in this effort, and even though the business is down because of the pandemic, they say they're just glad they can do something to help. Time right now is 4:55 on your Wednesday. Let's check in with Todd.
And it's going to be a great forecast here for us, Lauren, going forward all the way through the weekend. The next chance of rain does not arrive until next week. And look at those temperatures in the 60s for today and tomorrow. In fact, many of you should get into the 70s here this afternoon, especially south and west of Indy. And then as we go into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just an absolutely beautiful stretch of weather. So start making those outdoor plans now. It should be great out there. Even the low temperature is very pleasant here throughout the overnight hours. The time now is 4:55. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on WRTV. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.